I just want to invest in people that really want to be the best that they can be. Hello, business partners. It's Todd Scrima and Robyn, LaVassaur, and Jimmy Reed, and we do a podcast for our realtors and our home builders and financial planners and just business people who refer us. And so thank you very much for your referrals. Today, we got to brainstorm these topics. I'm like, I think a lot of people don't have a good hook. Like, they don't have a good hook. And I'll just give some context to that, and then we can talk about it. Some people call it the value proposition. Yes, however, it's a little deeper than that. It's a little more specific than that. And what we're talking about is, why would someone use you? So if I'm selling my house or I'm looking for a financial planner, what is it that you got to be able to clearly articulate in a sentence what you're going to do for me so that I have a chance to be attracted to you? In other words, if I just called, and I've used realtors several times as an example, and I just say, why would I use you? There's got to be a response, and it can be very varied. I think what I see with most business people, Tesla is obviously an electric car. So if you want to save the planet and save on gas, you're going to buy an electric car. Amazon is anything delivered to your house in 24 hours, right? That's a pretty compelling hook. Google is learn anything you want to learn, find it in 60 seconds, right? It's like, those are hooks. Whether they explicitly say them or it's just known, those are hooks, okay? And so, Jim, you had a story about a realtor that uses a hook.
Yeah.
Give us an example for a realtor.
Yeah, but by a hook, what I think you mean is, how do you differentiate yourself from your competition, right? It's really like, and I think for us in lending and in real estate, a lot of us are, we get our business by referral, right? So a lot of people get referred to me, so they come feeling like they know me and they trust me already. And my thought on that is, well, imagine if they were referred to you and you had a hook, right? What if you had both, right? What if you had both? So this lady is a person grown to be a personal friend of mine, and is a great realtor. She has two different ideas depending on the client. So one of them is to create demand. Her hook is, how do I create demand? You know, there's MLS and Zillow and all those websites, but how do I really create demand? And what she does is she has a very small window, limited open house, right? And she has 4 steps to the way she does an open house. And this is to get listings, right? She says, I sell your house for more than other people. And here's how I can prove it. Here's my last 10 sales for the area. And here's what the market sells for in comparison to the list price. And here's what mine sold for in comparison to the list price. And that deviation, that difference is my value. And they're like, well, how do you do that? Well, she does 2 things. Number one is, she doesn't recommend things. She tells you what to do, and you do it. So, So she's going to tell them what to do around staging, cleaning up the house, cleaning up the gutters. She has a list, like a checklist of what you got to do to get your house ready. And you got to do it. Otherwise, frankly, she won't take the listing. Because she knows if she does it, she's going to sell the house for less than list, and it's going to affect her long-term value. So she's pretty bossy about what you got to do to sell your house. The second thing she does is she creates high demand. And the way she does that is to get as many people in the house at the same time as possible. That's what she says. I want the house crowded. And I learned this, that second part I learned from her when I first met her, which is like 15 years ago. I don't know, a long time ago. And I was renting out a house. So I had a house, my first house I ever bought. I was going to rent it out. And I asked her for some advice. She says, well, back then we put houses on Craigslist. Do you guys remember that?
Yep.
Do they still do that? Is Craigslist even around?
Yeah.
I don't really know. So
taking us old school.
Yeah. So like, listed the house. Well, you could do the same thing on those apps now. You could list your house for open house for rent. Anyways, so it was Thursday night from 5:30 to 6:15, 45 minutes. Gave the property address on Craigslist, took pictures. So people were driving by all week. And then that night, there were 11 families in my 3-bedroom, 2-bath house that wanted to rent it, all at the same time. And at the kitchen table, I had an application for rent and a little sign that says, check for $25 for application fee, which I never even cashed. Just the fact that it had a sales filter and it had a room full of people, I'm telling you, they all filled out applications and turned them in. And then I told her about it, and she says, I'll give you one more idea. Respond to the top 3 by email and say, due to high demand, the rate for rent has increased by $200 a month, and you're one of the top 3. If you're interested, let me know. All 3 came back and said yes. And then I just picked the one with the best job stability and income. So by creating scarcity with tons of people in the house, it helped volume go up. And what she does in addition to that with people selling their home is there's a checklist that she's going to have you do to fix your house to get the value out. And honestly, sometimes she'll partner with you on the expense if you agree to do everything she says, because she knows her values and she knows the market, how fast it will sell. So if I'm thinking about selling my house and someone came in and sat down with me and went through that process of what they do to give me the most for my home and the biggest net, and it was in writing, and she had testimonials, and she had documentation proving her percentage above list, I don't know why I wouldn't use her.
Yeah. It's a great hook that's well explained and provided backup information. That's a great hook.
I think it would be a realtor. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I think people overanalyze this. Like, if you just get out of your own head and you stop and you think, what does the client want more than anything? What do they want more than anything? You will find a good hook. So that's the mindset. Robyn, what's either in our business or another business, what's a hook? Like, let me give you one real quick one. I know this gentleman who's a financial planner, and he made a 7-figure income. So I started quizzing him. And he says, I didn't say, what's your hook, but that's the nature of the question. He says, Todd, I make you a multimillionaire and I minimize your taxes. And then he went on to explain exactly how he did it. It's very compelling. I'm like, okay, you make me millions and you minimize taxes. Oh man, right? To a person with money, that's very appealing because that's what I care about. So anyway, that's an example. Robyn, do you have one?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot. I was on a flight and it literally Alaska Airlines says, hey, we have a 20-minute bag guarantee, right? So at the bagging area, they guarantee your bags are there in 20 minutes or less. Like,
I love that.
It's a big, like, quick push, right? From 20 minutes from your flight lands, your bags are supposed to be out the door from that 20 minutes.
They do it too.
And they do it. And so they have a guarantee because they've also got a catch there that says, we'll give you a voucher basically, as a result of not getting your bags out. And so I think that kind of hook, Southwest is, your bags fly free. They also have a hook of want to get away, right? Like cheap, no fuss, just straight up price online and no extra anything. And so I think that there are a lot in general. I think what's interesting is that because, when you run a big company like that, you get marketing and branding help and all of those things. Here's what's interesting when it comes to realtors and loan officers alike. Because we're individual entrepreneurs, we really are running like our own little businesses, every single one of us, right? No matter where we work and what company we're under, it's the business of Jimmy Reed being a loan officer or, Mary Smith being a realtor. That's a generic name. Whether or not you think you have a hook, you do. It just might not be the one that gets people's attention, right?
Cool.
And so I think that sometimes people forget that we are a walking, talking brand every single day, and what we represent. And I'll give you just a little example of this. I get to teach often. We all get to do that. And ironically, I end up teaching a lot of real estate agents and lunch and learns and different things across the nation when I travel to branches. And Todd, I cannot tell you how many times one of the questions that I ask at the beginning of the conversation is, why real estate? You have a room full of realtors and I'll say, why real estate? Now imagine doing this with why loan officers or why financial advisors. And what do you think the most common response is as why people got into real estate?
No schedule.
Flexibility.
You make a lot of money and don't have to work very much, which is not accurate.
It's a flexibility. And so the problem is, again, we are our hook no matter who and where. And so after they give all their statements, I always say, hey guys, I'm an investor and I actually want to buy at least one Airbnb in this town in the next 30 days. Which one of you am I choosing based on your response?
Well, that's good.
And they all go, oh gosh, let me, and they start to fumble with why real estate. Well, we don't realize we are walking, talking brands. And Jim, you bring it up in the professional presentation, but it's what you present out front of, whether it's on your social media, whether it's a tagline that you use. When people say, when I think of expert negotiations, I think of Todd Scrima, the realtor. When I think of getting you more for your house, 20% more for your home, I think people get hesitant with making just emphatic statements about something for fear that they'll have to back it up. That's the point. That's the point. A hook is something that not only you're willing to say, but you're willing to back up. And so I think identifying that within ourselves and knowing like, hey, this is something that people need and want. And is a hook going to work for everybody? Not everybody's going to choose the realtor that says I can sell your house in 21 days or it's free. But I'll tell you what, it's a hook that was on a billboard in Eugene, Oregon for a lot of years. Yep. And that man did a lot of business off of the 21 days or it's free. Now, what does that really mean in fine print? You price it how I want to price it, right? I'll sell it in 21 days, but I guarantee you there are some other things. But the phone rang off of that billboard. I can't tell you, that man was a top 3 in Eugene, Oregon for years off of I'll sell your home closed in 21 days or it's free. And that is a hook, right? It's something that says, ring, ring, I'm interested. And so I think those are, it's a great topic because I think people struggle with this. I think they struggle with it feeling too salesy. But we don't realize that it's really about having more people recognize that you're going to do a great job for them. But the first part is them being able to pay attention to you, if you will. And the hook is them paying attention. And then you bring in the jab, right? Then you bring in these are my additional skills that are going to blow you away.
Well, check this out.
Yeah, just one last thing that some old timers, people my age and older will recognize. One of the best hooks ever was Sony ran 10 cassette tapes. Back then it was cassette tapes in the 70s and 80s. 10 cassette tapes for 1 cent.
BMG.
And that was a hook. Of course, you got 10 CDs for 1 cent as long as you signed up for a year-long subscription where you paid another.
I know a lot of people who went to collections for that time.
Yeah,
yeah, totally. But
it was a masterful hook, right? And so
masterful.
Yes.
There's something about saying it out loud for self-accountability.
Yes, 100%.
Like if you tell someone what you're going to do for them, and then you actually choose not to do it for them, this is not the industry for you.
Right.
But if you make some promises, it actually gets me up in the morning.
Yeah.
Like the promises I make to my sales staff or to whomever actually are what I use to motivate myself.
Yeah.
Because I'll
can work a number of different ways
that I may not even do for myself. And I think that's one of the things that when as a realtor, when people listing their home could see that in you, that character in you, that's a hook in and of itself.
Yep.
Anyways.
There's countless amount of hooks, but this is meant just to spur the brain. If you just think about, hey, what is it that the clients that I like to deal with that they really want? What do they really want? If you don't know, ask 5 or 10 of them, right?
Yeah.
And they will tell you. They'll tell you. And then you use that as your hook. So anyway, good point of discussion. We want you to sell all kinds of real estate and do all kinds of financial planning and send us a ton of clients, please. We appreciate it. It's mortgage is hurting. We need some more leads, okay? Send us tons of leads. Guys, we hope that this helped you. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Robyn. Have a beautiful month. Talk to you next month.
Thank you, guys. Bye.